The year was 2347. The world had changed in ways that the old humans could never have imagined. After the gene wars ended 200 years ago, a new kind of human had appeared. They called themselves the Lunarborn. They were wolf shifters. They looked like normal people during the day, but they carried wolves inside their souls. They lived in packs, followed ancient laws, and built their homes in the great megacities that covered the earth. Was one of these cities. It stretched across the old Korean peninsula like a giant made of glass and steel. Millions of people lived there, both human and lunar-born. The Silver Moon Pack was the strongest wolf pack in the city. They controlled the eastern districts and answered to no one but their alpha. Lived on the edge of this pack. She was not important, she was not powerful, she was nobody. Every morning, she woke up in her small room on the 32nd floor of a housing block. The room was clean but empty. She had no family photos on the walls. She had no memories of her parents except for one thing. Her mother's last words still echoed in her mind after all these years. "Never let them see your true form, my child. Not until the moon bleeds red." Did not understand what those words meant, but she had followed them her whole life. She was 26 years old now, and she had never shifted in front of anyone. Not once. This was strange for a lunar-born. Most wolves loved to shift. They loved to run and hunt and feel the wind in their fur, but kept her wolf locked deep inside her heart. She was afraid of what might happen if she let it out. She worked as a medical technician in the pack's healing ward. It was a good job. She helped injured wolves recover from their wounds. She cleaned their beds and checked their medicine and made sure they had food. The healers trusted her because she was quiet and careful. But the other pack members did not trust her, had no lineage records. When she was found as a baby, there were no papers with her, no family name, no pack history. Among wolves, this was a great shame. A wolf without a bloodline was like a tree without roots. They could never truly belong. "There goes the ghost girl," some wolves would whisper when she walked past. No family, no wolf, no future. Pretended not to hear them. She kept her head down and did her work. Her only friend they had grown up together in the orphan house at the edge of pack territory, was loud and brave and full of fire. She worked as a guard now, protecting the pack's borders. She was everything was not. "You should stand up for yourself," told her one evening. They were sitting on the roof of the healing ward, watching the sun set over the city. "You let them treat you like dirt." "It does not matter," said softly. "I just want to live in peace." Shook her head. "You are hiding something. I have known you for 20 years. I can feel it. Your wolf is in there and she is strong, stronger than you want anyone to know." Looked away and said nothing. The next week, the whole pack was buzzing with excitement. The ascension ceremony was coming. Alpha would finally choose a Luna to rule beside him. Everyone knew he would pick. She was the daughter of Elder, the most powerful member of the council. She was beautiful and clever and hungry for power. Had seen many times. The woman looked at her like she was looking at an insect, something small and worthless that could be crushed without a second thought. The night before the ceremony, something terrible happened. Elder, one of the oldest and most respected members of the council, was found dead in his chambers. His throat had been torn out by wolf claws. Blood covered the walls and floor. It was a violent, savage kill. The pack guards searched the scene carefully. They found two pieces of evidence. The first was a strand of white fur caught on the broken window. The second was a medical ID badge with his name on it. The guards came for her at dawn. Was dragged from her bed and thrown to the ground. Metal chains wrapped around her wrists. She tried to speak, but a guard hit her across the face. "Murderer," he spat, "you killed an elder." "I did not do this," cried. "I was in my room all night, I never left." But no one listened. They pulled her through the streets like an animal. Pack members gathered to watch. Some of them threw things at her. Others just stared with cold eyes. Stood on a balcony above the street. She was smiling. They brought to the council hall and threw her into the holding cells deep underground. The walls were made of thick stone that blocked all sound. She was completely alone. Hours passed, sat in the darkness, her heart pounding. She had not killed anyone. She did not even know Elder. Someone had put that badge at the scene. Someone wanted her to take the blame. But who and why? Above her in the shadows of the hall, Beta stood watching a security recording from that night. His eyes were narrow and focused. He had seen something strange. A figure moving through the halls long after midnight. A figure that was definitely not. He saved the recording and hid it away. Something was very wrong here, and he was going to find out what. In her cell, closed her eyes and listened to the wolf inside her chest. It was restless. It wanted out. It wanted to fight. Not yet, whispered to herself. Not yet. But she could feel it in her bones. The time was coming. The moon would bleed red soon, and then everyone would see what she truly was. The council hall was the tallest building in the Silver Moon Pax territory. It was made of black stone and dark glass. Ancient wolf carvings covered its walls. Holographic screens floated in the air, showing Pack laws and trial records. This was where the most important decisions were made. This was where wolves came to face justice. Stood in the center of the great chamber. Her hands were still bound in chains. Her face was pale and tired. She had not slept at all in her cell. Around her, hundreds of Pack members filled the viewing galleries. They had come to watch the trial of the murderer. They whispered and pointed at her. Some of them looked angry. Others looked excited, like they were watching a show. At the front of the chamber sat the Council of Elders. There were 7 of them, old wolves with hair and hard faces. Elder's seat was empty now. Someone had placed white flowers on it to honor his memory. In the center of the elders sat the head elder, a man named. He was over 100 years old, but his eyes were still sharp. He would lead this trial. Above everything else, on a throne made of silver metal, sat Alpha. He was young for an Alpha, only 32 years old, but he was strong and cold. His face showed no emotion as he looked down at. To him, she was just another problem to solve. Sat in the front row of the gallery, right where everyone could see her. She was wearing a beautiful red dress. Her father, Elder, sat on the council behind her. They both looked very pleased. The trial began. Head Elder said in a deep voice, "You stand accused of the murder of Elder. A strand of white fur was found at the scene. Your work badge was found next to the body. What do you say?" Lifted her head. Her voice was quiet but steady. "I did not kill Elder. I was in my room all night. Someone is trying to make me look guilty." A wave of laughter rolled through the gallery. People did not believe her. "Do you have any proof?" the head elder asked. "No," admitted. "I live alone. No one saw me in my room." The head elder nodded slowly. "Then we will hear from the witnesses." Stood up and walked to the center of the chamber. She looked at with pretend sadness in her eyes. "I did not want to believe it," said in a sweet voice. "But I have seen things, has always been strange. She never shifts with the rest of us. She keeps to herself. I think she was jealous." "Jealous of what?" the head elder asked. Touched her heart like she was in pain. Jealous of the pack. Jealous of those who have families and status. Elder once said in a meeting that wolves without lineage should not be allowed to work in important places. I think heard about this. I think she wanted revenge. The crowd murmured in agreement. It made sense to them. The ghost girl with no family had finally shown her true colors. Wanted to scream. This was all lies, but who would believe her over the daughter of an elder? Pushed her way to the front of the gallery. "Wait," she shouted. "I want to speak for." The head elder raised his hand. "You may speak." Stepped forward. Her guard uniform was wrinkled and her hair was messy. She had been up all night trying to find something that could help her friend. "Is not a killer," said firmly. "I have known her since we were children. She has never hurt anyone. She is kind and gentle. This whole thing is wrong. Someone set her up. Do you have proof? The head elder asked the same question. Hesitated, no, but... Then your testimony is just opinion, Elder interrupted from his seat. You are her friend. Of course you would defend her. It means nothing. His hands curled into fists, but she could not argue. Without proof, her words were useless. The trial went on for hours. More witnesses came forward. Most of them had nothing real to say. They just talked about how strange was, how she never fit in, how she always seemed to be hiding something. In the shadows of the upper balcony, Beta watched everything carefully. He had the recording hidden in his jacket. He knew it could change everything. But he also knew that if he showed it now, whoever was behind this would destroy the evidence and escape. He needed to wait for the right moment. Finally, the head elder stood up. The chamber fell silent. The evidence is unclear, he announced. There is no direct witness to the killing. The physical evidence could have been planted, but it could also be real. We cannot reach a decision based on what we have. Felt a tiny spark of hope. Maybe they would let her go. But then Elder spoke. There is another way, he said. His voice was smooth like oil. The old laws speak of the revelation right. When truth cannot be found, the accused must shift before the pack. A wolf's true nature cannot lie. If her wolf is dark and violent, we will know she is guilty. If her wolf is calm and pure, we will know she is innocent. The crowd began to buzz with excitement. The revelation right was ancient. It had not been used in over 50 years. His blood went cold. She could not shift. If she shifted, everyone would see what she really was, and then everything would change. I ask for another way, she said, her voice breaking. Please, any other way. The head elder shook his head. The law is the law. There is no other way. Alpha finally spoke. His voice was deep and calm. The moon is rising. We will do the right tonight. Guards moved forward and pulled to the center of the chamber. Above them, the great glass dome showed the night sky. The artificial moon that lit the city was growing brighter. Hundreds of eyes watched her. Was smiling, was crying. The elders waited. Alpha stood from his throne and walked down the steps. He stopped in front of and looked into her eyes. Shift, he commanded. Let your wolf speak your truth. Closed her eyes. Her whole body was shaking. She had hidden for so long, she had been so careful, but there was no escape now. Please, she whispered one last time. No one answered. The moon grew brighter, and knew that her life would never be the same again. The great chamber was completely silent. Every wolf in the room held their breath. They were all looking at, waiting to see what kind of monster she really was. Stood alone in the center of the floor. The artificial moonlight poured through the glass dome above and fell upon her like cold water. Her chains had been removed. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. She thought about her mother. She had died when was only 5 years old, barely remembered her face, but she remembered her voice. Those final words had stayed with her all these years. Never let them see your true form, my child, not until the moon bleeds red. Looked up at the artificial moon. Its light was pure white, but as she watched, something strange began to happen. The edges of the moon started to turn pink, then orange, then deep bloody red. The crowd gasped. This had never happened before. The artificial moon was controlled by machines. It was not supposed to change color. But it was changing now, for she closed her eyes and stopped fighting. For 26 years she had kept her wolf locked away in the deepest part of her soul. She had been so scared of what would happen if she let it out. But now she had no choice. It was time. The shift began. It was painful, not because shifting normally hurt, but because she had her wolf for so long. It was like opening a door that had been locked for a lifetime. Her bones cracked and reformed. Her skin stretched and grew fur. Her teeth became sharp fangs. The crowd watched in horror and wonder. They had seen many wolves shift before. It usually took only a few seconds. But transformation was different. It was slow and powerful, like watching a storm build in the sky. And then they saw her fur. It was white, pure, blazing white. It glowed under the red moonlight like fresh snow under the morning sun. No wolf in the silver moon pack had white fur. No wolf in any pack had fur like this. Continued to grow. Her wolf became larger and larger. Normal wolves were about the size of a small horse, but's wolf kept growing until she was bigger than Alpha himself. She towered over the crowd like a creature from legend. Elder stumbled backward, knocking over his chair. "Impossible," he whispered. "This is impossible." Screamed, her face was twisted with fear and disbelief. This was not supposed to happen, was supposed to be weak, was supposed to be nothing. But the wolf standing before them was anything but nothing. Wolf opened her eyes. They were silver, glowing like two small moons. Intelligence and power shone in those eyes. This was not a mindless beast. This was something ancient and magnificent. Head Elder fell to his knees. His old body shook as memories flooded through his mind. Stories his grandmother had told him when he was a child. Tales from 1,000 years ago. "The white Luna," he breathed. "The prophecy is true." The other elders heard his words. They looked at each other in shock. Then, one by one, they too fell to their knees. The crowd did not understand what was happening, but their wolves understood. Deep inside every Lunarborn, there was an instinct older than memory, an instinct that recognized true power when it appeared. Wolves throughout the chamber began to kneel. Some fought against it. They did not want to bow to this strange woman they had mocked and ignored, but their wolves forced them down anyway. It was not a choice. It was destiny. Beta dropped to one knee. His face was calm. He had suspected there was something special about, but even he had not imagined this. Was crying, but now her tears were tears of joy. Her friend was not a murderer. Her friend was something amazing. In the front row, refused to kneel. She grabbed the railing and held on tight. "No," she shrieked. "This is a trick. She is fooling everyone." But no one listened to her. All eyes were on the white Luna. Only Alpha remained standing beside Wolf. He looked at her without fear. His own wolf stirred inside him, wanting to submit, but he was the Alpha. He had to be strong. "What are you?" he asked quietly. Wolf turned to look at him. Then something amazing happened. She spoke, but not with words. Her voice appeared directly in his mind. "I am what the prophecy promised. I am the white Luna, and I know who killed the elder." His eyes widened. "Who?" Instead of answering, Wolf turned her massive head toward the upper balcony. Her silver eyes locked onto one specific spot. A low growl rumbled from her throat, shaking the walls of the chamber. Everyone followed her gaze. There in the shadows stood Elder's father, one of the most powerful members of the council. His face had gone completely white. His hands were shaking. He looked like a man who had just seen his own death. Wolf took one step toward him, just one step, but it was enough. Elder broke. His wolf, the coward inside him, could not face the white Luna's power. He fell to his knees and began to whimper like a beaten dog. The crowd stared in disbelief. An elder whimpering, this was unheard of. Head Elder slowly stood up. His old eyes were now filled with understanding. "A wolf's true nature cannot lie," he said, repeating the words from the trial. "Elder, your wolf has betrayed you. What have you done?" Could not answer. His body was shaking too hard, but everyone already knew the truth. The white Luna had spoken. The real murderer had been found. And nothing in the Silver Moon Pack would ever be the same again. The council hall exploded into chaos. People were shouting and pushing and trying to understand what they had just seen. Guards ran in every direction, not knowing what to do. The world they knew had turned upside down in just a few minutes. White Wolf did not wait for order to be restored. She moved toward the balcony with frightening speed. Her massive body was somehow graceful, like a ghost floating through the air. In 3 great leaps, she reached the upper level and cornered Elder against the wall. The old man raised his hands in front of his face. "Please," he begged, "please, I can explain." Swolf growled again. The sound was so deep that people could feel it in their chests. She did not attack him. She did not need to. Her presence alone was enough to break him completely. Down below, Beta sprang into action. He pulled out a small device and pressed a button. Heavy metal doors slammed shut across every exit in the hall. No one could leave. "Lockdown complete," announced in a loud voice. "No one escapes until we learn the truth." Alpha walked through the crowd. People moved out of his way quickly. His face was hard and cold, but there was something new in his eyes. He had just watched a legend come to life. Even he needed a moment to accept it. He climbed the stairs to the upper balcony and stood beside Swolf. He looked down at Elder with disgust. "Speak," the Alpha commanded. "Tell everyone what you did." Elder was crying now. Tears ran down his wrinkled face. His wolf had completely submitted to the White Luna's power. He could not fight it. He could not lie. "I killed," he confessed. His voice cracked and broke. "I killed him and blamed the girl." The crowd below gasped. Some people screamed. An elder confessing to murder. This was the greatest scandal in pack history. "Why?" Alpha demanded. Swallowed hard. "Because discovered what I was doing. He found out about my meetings with the humans, the ones who call themselves the Purity Movement." A wave of shock rolled through the chamber. Everyone knew about the anti-lunar Purity Movement. They were a group of humans who hated all wolf kind. They believed that lunar-born were dangerous monsters that needed to be destroyed. They had attacked wolf packs before. They were enemies. "You were working with them." His voice was filled with cold fury. "You betrayed your own people." "They promised me power," whispered. "They promised that when they won, they would let me and my family live. I just had to give them information, pack secrets, guard schedules, weaknesses." Swolf made a sound of disgust. She finally shifted back to her human form. In a flash of white light, the giant wolf became a young woman again. She stood tall and straight, her fear completely gone. "You were going to sell us all to be killed," said. Her voice was calm but hard like steel. "And you blamed me to cover your crimes." Could not look at her. He stared at the ground. In the front row below, watched everything with growing terror. Her father had fallen. That meant she would fall too. She turned and tried to run toward a side door, but was waiting for her. The guard stepped out of the shadows and blocked path. Her fist connected with face before the woman could even scream. Crashed to the ground, her beautiful red dress torn and dirty. "You helped him," said, standing over her. "You planted the evidence. You put badge at the scene." Tried to deny it. "No, I did not know anything, I swear." But her voice was shaking. Everyone could hear the lie. Walked over with 2 guards. "Take her to the cells," he ordered. "We will question her later." The guards dragged away. She screamed and fought, but it was useless. Her power was gone. Her father was gone. Everything she had built was gone. Alpha turned to face the crowd below. The entire pack was watching him, waiting to hear what he would say. "Elder is guilty of murder and treason," announced. "He will be judged by the full council tomorrow. His punishment will be death." No one argued. No one protested. The evidence was clear. The wolf's nature had spoken. Then did something no one expected. He turned to and lowered his head. Not a full bow, but a clear sign of respect. An alpha showing respect to someone else was almost unheard of. "The prophecy spoke of you," he said. "The old books said that when darkness filled the pack from within, the White Luna would rise to save us. I did not believe those stories. I was wrong." Looked at him with steady eyes. "I did not ask for this power. I did not want it. I just wanted to live in peace." "Peace is not possible for someone like you," replied. "You are meant for something greater. Will you stand with this pack? Will you be our Luna?" The question hung in the air. Below, the crowd held their breath, even looked shocked. The Alpha was asking to rule beside him, to become the most powerful woman in the pack. Thought about her mother's words again. Not until the moon bleeds red. The moon had bled red tonight. The time for hiding was over. I will not rule, said slowly. That is not my path, but I will protect. I will stand with this pack and fight against any enemy that comes, starting with the rot that has grown inside us. She looked out at the crowd, at the wolves who had mocked her and ignored her for years. Some of them looked ashamed now, others looked scared. Good, they should be scared. The purity movement thinks we are weak, continued. They think they can destroy us from within, but they have made a terrible mistake. They woke me up, and now they will learn what happens when you threaten my pack. Her words echoed through the chamber, and deep in the hearts of every wolf present something stirred. Hope, pride, the will to fight. But far away, in a hidden base on the other side of the world, a human general received a message from a frightened spy. The message read, "The White Luna has risen. She knows about us." The general read the message twice. Then he smiled a cold smile and pressed a button on his desk. "Begin the extinction protocol," he said. "It is time to end the wolf problem once and for all." 1 month had passed since the trial that changed everything. The Silver Moon Pack was a different place now. Elder had been executed for his crimes, was in prison, awaiting her own judgment. The traitors had been removed, but the wounds they left behind were still healing. Walked through the pack's main street. People no longer looked at her with fear or disgust. Now they bowed their heads when she passed. Children pointed at her and whispered, "That is the White Luna." Some wolves even smiled at her. It felt strange. She had spent her whole life being invisible. Now everyone knew her name. She had not taken the title of Luna officially. She had told Alpha that she did not want to rule, but the pack treated her like a leader anyway. They came to her with their problems. They asked for her advice. They trusted her in ways they had never trusted anyone before. Walked beside her now. In the past month they had worked together every day. He was still cold and serious but had learned to see past that. He cared about his pack deeply. He just did not know how to show it. "The border patrols found something this morning," said. "A body, human. He was carrying strange equipment." Frowned. "What kind of equipment?" "We are not sure yet, is analyzing it, but it looks like surveillance technology. Someone has been watching us." This was not good news. Ever since confession, they had been preparing for trouble. The purity movement knew they had been exposed. They would strike back eventually. A figure appeared at the end of the street. It was a man did not recognize. He was tall and thin, with long hair tied back from his face. He wore old clothes that looked like they had traveled across many lands. A lone wolf, someone without a pack. The guards moved to stop him, but he raised his hands peacefully. "I mean no harm," the man said. "My name is, I have come a long way to find the White Luna." Stepped forward. Something about this man felt familiar. "How do you know about me?" Smiled sadly. "I knew your mother, child, a long time ago. She was my sister." His heart stopped. Her mother. She had never known anything about her mother's family. She had always believed she had no relatives left in the world. "You are lying," she whispered. "I am not." Reached into his bag and pulled out an old photograph. It showed 2 young people, a man and a woman, standing together in a field of flowers. The woman looked exactly like. Tears formed in his eyes. It was true. This was real. Put the photograph away gently. "I have something else, something more important." He pulled out an ancient book, its pages yellow and crumbling. "This contains the full prophecy of the White Luna. Your mother died protecting it. She gave her life so that you could live long enough to fulfill your destiny." Took the book with shaking hands. She opened it carefully and began to read. The words were old, written in a language that few wolves still understood, but somehow she could read them perfectly. The prophecy spoke of a great war, a final battle between humans and wolves. It said that the White Luna would be the bridge between both worlds. She would either unite them or watch them destroy each other. "The purity movement has already begun," said grimly. 3 hours ago they attacked wolf packs across the globe. Thousands have died. They have a new weapon, a sickness that only affects our kind. They call it the Extinction Protocol. Grab's arm. What? Why did we not receive any warnings? Because they struck too fast. Communications are down in many cities. We are under attack. Close the book. The time for learning was over. The time for action had come. She ordered, gather all the pack leaders, and find a way to broadcast a message to the entire world. Looked at her strangely. What are you planning? Lifted her head. Her eyes began to glow silver. I am going to show them what we really are. 2 hours later, every screen lit up with an emergency broadcast. But it was not just. Through channels that had hacked, the broadcast spread across the entire planet. Billions of people, human and wolf alike, stopped what they were doing to watch. Stood alone in front of the camera. Behind her, the silver moon pack stretched out in formation, hundreds of wolves ready for battle. My name is, she said clearly. Some call me the White Luna. I am speaking to you today because we are all in danger, not just wolves, all of us. She paused to let her words sink in. There are people who want you to believe that we are monsters, that Lunarborn are dangerous creatures that must be destroyed. They have attacked our homes. They have killed our families. They think they can wipe us out with fear and poison. Her voice grew stronger. But they are wrong. We are not your enemies. We are your children, your neighbors, your protectors. For hundreds of years, we have lived alongside you in peace. We have built cities together. We have faced challenges together. We are one people, human and wolf. She shifted. In front of billions of watching eyes, she transformed into the White Luna. Her massive white wolf stood tall and proud, glowing under the city lights. This is who I am, she said, her voice now echoing in the minds of every Lunarborn watching. This is the truth they tried to hide. I am not a monster. I am a guardian, and I will fight for every innocent life, human or wolf. The broadcast ended. For a long moment the world was silent. Then something amazing began to happen. Messages started flooding in from everywhere. Humans who had seen the broadcast and believed her. Other wolf packs pledging their support. Scientists offering to help fight the sickness. Leaders demanding that the purity movement be stopped. The tide was turning. That night stood on the rooftop of the council hall. The city spread out below her, lights twinkling like stars on the ground. Joined her. They will come for you, he said. The fanatics, the fearful, maybe even some of our own. Smiled, it was a small smile, but it was real. Let them come. I spent my whole life hiding. I was afraid of what I was, but not anymore. She looked up at the moon. It was white again, peaceful and calm, but she could still remember when it had bled red, when her life had changed forever. I used to want peace, she said softly. Now I understand. Sometimes you have to fight for peace. Sometimes you have to stand up and show the world who you really are. Behind them, the silver moon pack began to howl. It was a song of war and hope, of sadness and strength. Across the city, other packs joined in, and across the world, wolves lifted their voices to the sky. The age of hiding was over. The age of the Luna had begun. And the ghost girl who had been nobody was finally home.